Hey guys, it's me back on YouTube after a month of hibernation. I've missed you all so much, and I'm so sorry for not being able to do that much material. But obviously, I was meant to do this video in October, then came second lockdown, then I came have to go back to England, then I came back, then we made another go to in March, then it was so badly botched we had to scrap it, then revision, then after exams, I'm hoping to get back to doing this. So I'll hopefully post them far more on YouTube and in the coming months. There's obviously my crypto video too, which I'm taking into account. But first of all, this is long overdue, so I thought I'd get around to this. So let's get into the thick of things. So obviously, there's that overwhelming poll which I asked. You shows voted yes on, which I asked if I should explain why Nigeria is a mess. So I'm going on to that now. So we'll do part 1 today, part 2 tomorrow, and then yeah, we'll do a part 3 at some point. Yeah. I'll do a part 1 today, so Nigeria's summary. So here it is, Nigeria's flag in all its glory, such great potential, but sadly so little of it used. Sorry, still tired from exams, so I'm stuttering a little, but yeah, you got this. So you've got this country, a country of 500 different ethnic groups. You've got mine over here, the Yoruba people who make some great jollof rice. You've got the Igbos here, you've got the Hausa at the top. Such a diversity, but sadly that doesn't always work out for good, as I'll explain later on. So here, Federal Republic of Nigeria, 60 years old, turned 60 last year. Yeah, in a way it's amazing it's lasted so long given all its different issues, but then it might not last for much longer depending on how things go. So we'll get to that. It became independent in 1960. You've got these videos here. They launched the queue 6 years later, so it started off as a parliamentary republic here in Britain, but didn't last too long due to ethnic divisions. So they carried out a power grab, and these people were they were largely these Southerners, so sadly that treated an ethnic backlash. The people in the North weren't happy, and they were basically they carried out some horrifying reprisals, some ethnic cleansing stuff Igbos in the North, which was appalling to see. Obviously the Southerners, the Igbo people who were mentioned before, they were terrified by this, so they declared independence. They declared in 1967, 7 years after independence, they declared that independent Republic of Biafra. The North then launched a civil war to reclaim the land back. That's 3 years of civil rule, the Nigerian civil war. Honestly though, we call it civil war, but in a way it was almost genocide. If you look at these innocent children who were starving, usually the North blockade and laying siege to it, it was horrifying. These pictures are heartbreaking. They it's a struggle not to get emotional when I see this, but when you see, obviously I have to be professional for the video, but when you see this here, it was appalling. In a way, I think it was at least 1 million deaths, but as high as 3 million, after 3 years, during 3 years of war. And then, you had John Lennon, for example, the Beatles. He at one point he resigned, an honour given to him by the Queen Press, spiritual support in this. So there's that as well. But yeah, after 3 years of war in 1970, the Northerners won, and then Biafra was incorporated back into Nigeria. So you had that. Then after a few more coups later, you had this guy Obasanjo. He came in 1977, 1976. He was alright for 3 years. He met with Jimmy Carter, failed US president at one point, but he met with him, and then 1979, he handed power to the civilian government, which lasted for 4 years before this guy. I don't want to say his name is a curse word to me, Brewery, evil man, utterly evil man. He was scummy then, he's scummy now, and just can't believe that he's ruining the country, mucking things up. President in history, not just of Nigeria, of the world. Terrible person. I won't go into too much about him now, so we'll go more to him in part 2 but he was president for 2 years, and then there was another, and then a couple more coups later, you have this guy Abacha in 1993. He seized power in a coup of his own. He was a scum. He was. I wouldn't say he was as bad as Brewing, because but he was still a scumbag in his own right way. He executed several human rights activists. He invested a ton of money. Yeah, it's just a bad person all around. He died in office in 1998. I think he had to do heart attack. I think he was but then there's some people think that some prostitutes paid to poison him. So I think that's credible. But he died. This guy, Obasanjo from the 70s, he's back. He became president in 1999. Was president for 8 years. He did a 70 decent job, to be fair, compared to Nigeria currently has. But yeah, he was president for like 2 terms, and then this guy, The-Toluwan, he was actually a pretty well-meaning guy overall, but sadly he like had a very, very bad health for much of his time in office. He actually died in office, so there was that. I actually remember like when I was 10, like my mum told me that he died, so there was that. But yeah, then you had this guy, good like Jonathan. Some of you may know him. Very well-meaning guy as well, but last he was just a bit of a softy in a way. You had like corruption and mass corruption, and then like mass instability of like Boko Haram, which he was seen as like incapable of like stopping. They like carried out tons of attacks. You had the Chibok mess, like, and then which he was seen as like unable to handle with like the guys being kidnapped, and then but yeah, Boko Haram, like they obviously like rose in like 2020, not 2009, 2010, and they carried out a bunch of suicide bombings and grew stronger throughout the last decade, and then obviously you've got this. You might be wondering what's Obama doing in like a Nigerian video, and well, obviously like I thought it'd be relevant since like I said in my Instagram like I'd explain like why like Trump's so popular in Nigeria, and then Obama's part of it. Like as I said before, breweries currently screwing things up in this country, and then Obama made a blatant, like very inappropriate intervention in the 2015 election, which basically like he endorsed him in all but name. Really, he told Americans, he released a video just before the election, which he told them Nigerians to vote for change. Since like for some reason like the US didn't like good like Jonathan, so like they wanted brewery and stuff would be like a puppet. So he told them he released a video saying that like brewery should well, he didn't say it explicitly, but he said like Nigerians should like vote for like a new chapter, and then that like a lot of people think that they played a role in like brewery coming to power. So I mean, I get that Obama's like a charming guy in a way, and I like the guy in person too, but like he's got like charming personality, but like for that like many Nigerians blame with the country's current woes, and that was one reason why Oscar the cover for now. Why this guy Trump, like him, saw as a breath of fresh air, and why his approval ratings in Nigeria like 60%. So I get like obviously like many Westerners don't see it, I mean obviously they hate Trump, but it's why like he has a soft spot in many Nigerians' hearts. So we get around to I'll continue in part 2. This is it for now, folks. In part 2, I'll go into breweries coming into power, and why he's such a hate figure, and why he's screwing things up, and why the country's such a state now. Yeah. Until next time, over and out. Please sure to subscribe, and I hope to post many more videos in like the months to come.